Nail Yakupov is a Gagarin Cup champion. That's right, folks, one of the biggest busts in the history of the NHL draft has just lifted one of the greatest championships that the sport of hockey has to offer. Nail Yakupov has won a professional championship before Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, or the entire Edmonton Oilers organization. Who's the bust now, huh? Hello hockey fans, and welcome back to another video. As the NHL season enters its latter stages and the race for the playoffs reaches its boiling point, there's been plenty of news around the hockey world that's seemingly flown under the radar. Whether it's the latest developments from the KHL, a new team officially joining the NHL, or a legend of the sport announcing his plans for next season, there's been a lot to celebrate over the last week, and even more to look forward to over the coming months. Since there's been a variety of topics to explore, and a number of headlines to discuss, I want to try something a little different on the channel this weekend. Instead of my usual style of Sunday upload, I have decided to round off the week by highlighting the most notable hockey stories of the last 7 days. That way, we can all stay up to date with what's been going on across the sport, and maybe even learn something new along the way. So in today's video, let's take a look at the biggest news from around the hockey world in what I like to call the final buzzer. We'll start with one of the bigger topics in this video, which is the crowning of the KHL playoff champions. On April 28, 2021, Game 6 of the Gagarin Cup finals between Avangard Omsk and CSKA Moscow took place at the Arena Omsk. Since the 2020 KHL playoffs were cancelled before the trophy could be awarded due to the global pandemic, this showdown marked the second consecutive season that these two teams had met up in the finals, with Moscow clinching their franchise's first Gagarin Cup back in 2019 after sweeping Omsk in 4 games. Though they had bowed out in rather embarrassing fashion during their previous meeting, Avangard were determined to not let history repeat itself this time around. Despite going down 2-1 in the series, a 4-3 overtime win and a 2-0 shutout in games 4 and 5 would put Omsk 1 win away from the championship, where a lone goal from forward Sergei Tolchinsky and a 25-save shutout from netminder Simon Hrubek would help Avangard take the series in 6 games and clinch the 2021 Gagarin Cup. Not only would they avenge their 2019 loss against the team that handed it to them, Avangard had also lifted their first Gagarin Cup in franchise history. It may have taken them a while, folks, but it was certainly worth the wait. Oh, and it's also worth highlighting that the championship roster was run by former NHL head coach Bob Hartley, and it included several notable NHL alumni, such as Alexei Emelin, Reed Boucher, Corbin Knight, Yuri Sekak, and Nail Yakupov. Yes, you heard me right, folks. Nail Yakupov is a KHL champion. Though he didn't suit up in a single playoff game due to injuries, Yakupov's 10 points in 22 games as a member of Avangard during the 2021 KHL season was enough to get his name onto the award and add Gagarin Cup champion to his resume. Considering he had been traded 3 different times over the course of the season, and he finished the year with just 16 points in 37 total games, this former first overall draft pick certainly could have done a lot worse for himself, all things considered, right guys? In fact, Yakupov's contributions were deemed so valuable that the cup-winning team have rewarded him with a new deal, as he has just signed a 2-year contract extension with Omsk over the last few days. So not only did he play his part in helping Avangard win their first KHL championship, Yakupov has finally found a home in the league for the foreseeable future. Don't you just love a happy ending, guys? Speaking of Avangard's roster, another former NHLer and first overall draft pick who helped guide the team to the championship was league superstar Ilya Kovalchuk. However, his celebrations haven't lasted very long, as less than 3 days after winning the cup, it was revealed that Kovalchuk had mutually terminated his contract with Avangard. Now if you ask me, I can only imagine that Kovalchuk has taken this course of action for one of 2 reasons. Either he wants to play elsewhere in the KHL next season, or he is attempting a return to the NHL once again. Why he would want to join a different team in the K after just winning his third Gagarin Cup doesn't really make much sense unless there's a clear off-ice benefit, so it really does make you think that Kovalchuk is looking to return to North America. Since the NHL trade deadline has already come and gone, and the cut-off date for signing free agents has clearly passed, Kovalchuk can't suit up in the NHL again until the 21-22 season, but will a team be interested in picking him up? Sure, his 17 points in 16 regular season games and 9 points in 24 playoff games this season are pretty impressive numbers in the KHL, but considering he will be 39 years old once next season kicks off, he's not getting any younger, is he? Now, to be fair, his previous performance in the league wasn't all that bad, since he scored 26 points in 46 NHL games between 3 different teams during the 2019-20 season, but I imagine that Kovalchuk will only make the move across the pond if he can get his hands on a Stanley Cup championship, the only award that seems to have eluded him so far in his career. However, is a legitimate contender going to want to sign him given the circumstances? Unless he is willing to take a 1-year deal that pays him league minimum at best, I don't see one of the top teams in the league taking a chance on him, especially considering the league's current financial situation and with the flat salary cap still in place. That said, Kovalchuk has been willing to take this kind of contract before, while the Seattle Kraken are looking for talented players to join them for their debut year in the league during the coming season, so he may not get to sign with his first choice, but there might be a place for him in the league after all. While we're on the subject of Seattle, we may as well highlight the news that the Seattle Kraken recently made their final expansion payment to the league and are officially a member of the NHL. This means that they are now allowed to make trades with other teams around the league, as well as sign players for the upcoming 21-22 season. Of course, they will have to wait until their expansion draft and the start of free agency before they get their hands on some real NHL talent, but we could see them picking up a few junior or even European players before the real fun begins. I mean, Vegas made WHL forward Reed Duke their first ever signing just 5 days after their final payment, so the Kraken might have their first player sooner than we think. I guess we'll have to keep an eye out and see what Seattle does over the coming days. Let's keep things in North America for a little longer, as there's been some great news for women's hockey over the last week. According to numerous articles released at the end of April, the National Women's Hockey League, or NWHL for short, will be doubling their salary cap from $150,000 to $300,000 for the upcoming season of play. Though the league has had to delay their intended expansion into Montreal until the 22-23 season due to the pandemic, thanks to a 6-figure sponsorship deal with Discover, the league's 6 active teams will now have an average player salary of $15,000 for their 20-player rosters. Sure, women's hockey still has a long road ahead of them before they reach the similar kind of level to other professional hockey leagues around the world, but this is a notable step in the right direction, which should only help to improve both the on-ice product and the overall exposure of the league moving forwards. After all, the more money and resources that are put into it, the greater the advertising and the better the overall awareness of the league amongst the populace, which should hopefully lead to more fans in the stands as people begin to fall in love with both the sport and its star players. So nice work, ladies, keep it up. I want to pivot back to the KHL once more in this video and discuss the interesting news that the league is introducing player loans for the 21-22 season. According to an article released on the league's website, from the upcoming season onwards, each team can acquire up to 3 players under 22 years of age and a 4th player aged 23 or 24 on loan until the end of the current season of play. Instead of their contract being transferred from their parent club to the loaning team, the original contract is put on pause and a separate loan contract is signed, which carries a significant financial penalty if it's cancelled before the end of the season. These loan contracts will still count towards a team salary cap, which the league introduced during the recent 2021 season, while players can still be sent between the KHL and the minor leagues on these new deals, as if they were playing for their parent club still. However, no team can loan more than 2 players from a single club, so the league's bigger and more successful organisations can't go and ransack another team's prospect pool and steal all of their top young players, which has been a problem in recent seasons. Now, I've got to admit, guys, I really like this idea for the KHL moving forwards. Not only does it give younger players a chance to play a bigger role or get more meaningful minutes elsewhere in the league, it can help these prospects take the next step in their development and show what they're really made of at the KHL level. Who knows, maybe a player performs so well while out on loan that he earns a real shot on his parent club's roster the following season, an opportunity they might not have received if they spent their entire year in the minors or as a healthy scratch instead. Also, the team loaning the player out could see how he matches up against his contemporaries in a proper game setting, unlike the usual scrimmages that they're used to, while the team receiving the player might pick up a guy who becomes integral to their success that year, and they eventually decide to acquire the player via trade and keep him around long term. If you ask me, this rule seems like a win-win for everybody involved, and I'll be very curious to see how successful it proves to be over the upcoming season. And finally, last but by no means least, let's shift our attention to the Czech Republic now and discuss the news surrounding NHL legend Jaromír Jagr. After scoring 12 points in 19 regular season games this past season, and after helping his team Rytíři Kladno secure promotion back to the Czech Extraliga, the 49-year-old forward recently announced that he will be returning for a 34th season of pro hockey. According to an article on NHL.com, Jaromír Jagr still believes that he has it in him to keep playing professionally, and that he has a responsibility to his club in Kladno, the team that he played for well before his storied NHL career began, and the club that he currently owns a 70% majority share of. Interestingly though, Jagr also mentioned how he has to keep playing for the team in order for them to remain successful, as he stated that many of Kladno's business partners will leave the team once he decides to hang up his skates. While I don't think anyone is surprised to see the ageless one still playing professional hockey until his 50th birthday, those last few comments really make me feel kinda bad for him, guys. Sure, he clearly wants to suit up for another season, and he still has that competitive fire in him after all these years, but by the sounds of it, he really doesn't have much of a choice in the matter, especially if he wants the club to remain successful both on and off the ice. After all, he's not just a player on the roster who picks up his paycheck every week and plays a few games for them. He's the majority owner of this club. He has to consider the financial implications or any other implications of any decision that both he himself and the club as a whole makes. That said, Jagr has made it clear that he will do anything in his power to help Kladno succeed, and if that means lacing up his skates and putting the puck in the net for a few more years, then so be it, I guess. I think I speak for the entire hockey world here when I say I am rooting for you, Jaromír Jagr. Go and enjoy your 34th season as a pro, help Kladno avoid relegation back down to the Czech League 2, and maybe even win that Extraliga playoff championship while you're at it as well. After all, Tomas Plekanec is returning to the team next year, so it's not as if you don't have some talented help alongside you. It's going to be tough, but I think you guys can do it. Let's go, Kladno! And on that note, I'm going to end today's video. What do you guys think about the topics that I discussed? Also, do you want to see more videos like this on the channel in future? If you guys like the whole final buzzer idea, where I round up the biggest hockey stories at the end of the week as my Sunday upload, then I'll definitely make more if you guys want to see it. But if you don't and you'd prefer that I make something else, then I'll probably make that instead then. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really do want to hear what you guys have to say about an upload like this. I'd really appreciate your feedback. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Carl Fairbank, Connor B, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Jordan Whitehead, Saturn Otaku, Tom from Finland, Twin Sanity Dad, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.